What is up everyone, it's Lovenji here. Now, the last video saw us bringing an end to Populous, the beginning, but our adventure with magic doesn't stop there, for there was an expansion, an official expansion, Populous Undiscovered Worlds, and we're going to be doing the 12 missions that feature in there. Now, it's not quite a full campaign like the last one, it will be a sort of a farewell swan song for Populous on the channel, but I wanted to play it all the same because I actually quite like some of these missions, and you'll also notice these were recorded at different times, so you'll also notice slight differing in playstyles. Anyway, that said, let's get this underway. So this is mission 1, Aftermath. As you can see from the text, we're actually in the position of an acolyte, a young trainee or successor to the original shaman from the original game, and that message that we received, the story message, is actually from the original shaman, who, as we know, ascended to God and is now unleashing absolute hell on the Dakini for us. Isn't that nice? This was an introductory mission. This will just feature us essentially cleaning up the damage done by the Dakini tribe. Now, it should be said that Populous is not an introductory campaign. It doesn't flow progressively like the original game does. In fact, this game is just a add-on pack of 12 missions. Now, the main reason for this game was that they had a whole bunch of mechanics that they never implemented in the base game, but were ready to be implemented. And essentially they wanted to stick them all into a game, and so you'll see some very interesting mechanics that aren't in the main game that they wanted to be in the main game. One such thing is there's special stones that you can pray to that actually make followers invulnerable while they're in them. All we're doing here is building up the tribe. You're not missing anything here. Gathering in tornadoes. But you can just see me being very proactive about building the tribe. And one of the main differences you will notice about my playstyle in this mission is that I, in fact, utilize the followers a lot more. You may also have heard the voices have been swapped. So at this point in time, I have no longer freshly installed Populous, and one of the things I always do every time I install this game is swap the voice files around. So, save for the car, because there isn't a car for the enemy shaman. All these spell words will now be the quote-unquote evil version of the spell words. That goes the same for the preacher as well. So if you're only listening in, don't worry if you hear the enemy shaman shouting a whole bunch. She's not more aggressive, it's me. I don't know why I like the enemy shaman more. I just think the line delivery was much better. So I'm just trying to hold the line. What will actually happen if you turtle this game out? She'll just keep attacking you until she runs out of followers. The AI is told to be aggressive, but not aggressive with any particular constraints. So she'll attack you to her own demise. And make a touch too many breaches there. But yeah, we're immediately getting onto the training, which... How often have you seen me do that in the previous playthrough? As I was saying, these 12 missions, you don't have to unlock them, you can actually play the missions in any order. I am doing strictly numerical order just because it made sense. Some of my favourite missions are not this one. This mission is very straightforward. I don't like that it doesn't give you any terraforming, so you're sort of population capped. It's also one of the reasons why I use followers here, because it's just easier than trying to kill her with only lightning spells. So you'll see now one of the reasons why I described in one of my last videos, the swarm spell is incredibly strong, but you never saw me use it. Because the enemy shaman will, when my followers get too close, cast swarm, and you'll see how difficult it is to control my army with them all running around like madmen. I actually erroneously let the enemy shaman into my base. I did see her. I don't know why I ignored her, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But it worked out because she did a grand total of 0 damage and then immediately returned. So there you go, she's now throwing out fireballs and swarms like there's no tomorrow. So what I'm doing there is I'm spamming the spell outside the spell's range, and because every fight begins with a punch, they actually cannot kill my enemy shaman, or my shaman, so I'm buying time to have a blast. Then I don't realise that I have the blast, and the enemies let me go, and I walk out and just cast the blast at the ground where I was spamming. Can't win them all. So as you can see, we're kind of capped in this small region. We don't have much to work with, and I don't like that about this mission. You know me, I like my big, expansive tribes that get as close to population cap as physically possible. But this is a lot more... I was going to say something very stupid and very incorrect, but I'm going to say it, and now I'm going to say it anyway. I'd say this is a lot more indicative of, say, a multiplayer experience in Populous, from the sense that it's a lot more wave-like. You will attempt to gain entry to their base with your shaman and a few supporting followers. The enemy shaman will attempt to gain entry into your base with their shaman and a few supporting followers. And you kind of have this toing and froing, almost tug of war over whatever the middle of the map is when you're playing multiplayer Populous. And so this is a single player representation of that, which is not played particularly well, because it wasn't inherently apparent. Whilst I know a little bit about multiplayer Populous, I don't play multiplayer Populous. I think everyone who plays multiplayer Populous still now has it down to an art form. So, I've talked about this in a previous video, but I'll reiterate it again. I never do it because I'm not smart enough to. It's again a trick that I learned from multiplayer Populous. Because the enemy followers push you when you get into combat with them, one of the ways to dodge enemy shaman lightning blasts is to get in combat with their followers and keep a follower on the quote-unquote leash, as it were, so that as soon as you see the lightning spell go down, the only thing that they're going to get is their own followers, because a brave will actually shove you out of the way and play hero. I've been meaning to address this. I I don't ever demonstrate it. It does accidentally happen in a later mission. But through this terraforming, you can create some very interesting scenarios in which you create these super deep abysses that are so sunken down and at such a sharp angle that the little rolling animation that people do down like hills, it never ends, and so you can create this sort of rolling brave that never stops rolling in an abyss. It looks incredibly entertaining. I may show it off in a later video. It's almost the inverse of, I don't know if you remember my mission 12, An Easy Target, in which out of nowhere a huge spike appeared from the ground. It's like the inverse of that. You push the ground in so far as it will physically go, and surround it with high ground, and it just creates this little rolling cage of doom for whatever follower falls in. And if you hit them with a blast while they are rolling with enough momentum, they just instantly die. So, or if you flatten the land, they will also die, because all of that rolling is counted as falling. So they just take an obscene amount of falling damage and then just die. So what's probably noticeable about this mission is that I opt to use followers, but I'm not particularly good at it. But at least I'm using them. You can control groups of followers individually, or you can shift-click each of the portraits to select all of the followers of that type easily. One other thing you'll notice is, obviously this is an old game, so the sound files, they overlay one another. So, for example, while you can hear the lightning spell, you can't hear any other sound effects. Most notably, the spell that does that the most is the swamp spell. The actual ambient sound effect of the swamp will drown out all the sound effects in the game. And all you'll hear for the entire game is the swamp sound effect. Not quite as annoying as hearing only the guard tower sound effect for the entirety of the game, but just another one. If you're fond of the game's sounds, don't be too fond of the swamp spell. Yeah, so one of the things I never did in these mopping up phases that I actually do strongly recommend you do is use warriors. Their ability to cut down all the loose followers and destroy huts is just essential in closing out a game way quicker than I ever do. I end up messing around an awful lot, and it shows. I start to do silly things. Like I'm trying to get this brave in the water right now instead of just hitting him with a blast head on, which would kill him. I've just used all my blast. I don't know why I do this. And then I click half a second too early and get a mana warning. So against that many warriors, that shaman will die almost instantly. Unless she blasts. There you go. And she was the last follower alive, so that was mission 1. So that was mission 1, Aftermath. Now, I really like how this mission starts off. I really enjoy the kind of, they have this big built-up tribe and it all gets destroyed via the previous shaman who you played as in the original game. Anyway, as always, like, share the video, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see me do next once this series is through. Bye for now.